April 3rd, 2022. Now this is interesting. I'm watching Channel 7 News, ABC 7 Eyewitness News. It's a Sunday. It's a special with Bill Ritter. Bill Ritter, that's a name of the gentleman. And he's speaking to some guy that's in the system, the local system. I don't know how, again, he got in the local system. I don't know his career path. Again, they have not allowed me the same career path as they've taken themselves in this bizarre scenario in New York during the time that I've been here. And so the conversation looks very innocent. It's Bill Ritter speaking to him, and the guy's saying, Bill Ritter's actually the investigative journalist, I suppose. He's polling or he's surveying the local guy in front of a flag with a pin on that nobody knows how he got installed or who he works for, what his modus operandi is, what his career path was, what country, if he was to say who he affiliates with, what side he would take. None of that's pronounced. But those are the questions that would be really useful before he speaks on a political note, this gentleman, of I have no idea how he got into New York. And instead, he just has this like weird side conversation, like surface level, like very epidermal, very non-abrasive, non-friction. It's what I refer to as like passive aggressive. It's a mind trip. But what I really appreciate is Bill Ritter hunkering down and getting someone in the production office to remind him or put on paper to say, ask the guy if this is considered something nice when he speaks it out of his mouth. So he does. He says, is this something? Because the guy says, he's like, if you don't, they're having trouble getting some kind of funding. It's in Congress and it's not being released. So then this person sitting in front of a U.S. flag with no career credentials that are easily obtainable by a couch potato who's in some what looks like dissidence. I mean, it's completely left in the field without even going and trying to participate in their societal norms of public school. None of this structure that they created and move within was taught. So he's saying that they're waiting for Congress to release the funding to them for these COVID test sites. Then they're saying that then they're saying to go for boosters, more money from the big farm companies, and how like the criminal machine is working at the moment, keeping these criminals in business. And then he says that he went for himself, and even though he's not a doctor, even though he's not from Alchemy or Big Pharma, he's just some whatever stranger on a television, some form of foreign-bodied actor in North America with access to the television. He's then instructing the general public, who are the victims here, about getting, like, he's actively going for boosters and boostership and getting these injections. And he's saying, like as if he knows the results are guaranteed, that they won't be harmed. How could you give such a determination? Where is that? I mean, is that a lifelong thing? Is that for the next 30 minutes? I mean, and then when he says these things, then the investigative journalist says, he says, now, do you consider those things that you're saying to go out and telling people to shoot themselves, are you, again, he asks, now are you saying that like a nice thing? Right, yeah, because, I mean, again, it's a really tough spot that they've cornered themselves into here in the public light of, like, this is the one state-run media source which is supposed to have some responsibility with the federal cooperation, some form of whatever it's in. If it's in a U.S. territory, I suppose they should be involved in the us and the partnership and the how it's run in producers and what the public is being told. And then it's how they're coming off that this is like, but again, I know that there's side parasite issues with how should radio telephony, I mean, part of the calendar system says DJ FM AM J. I mean, that's for stolen time and stolen lives and the really dangerous wasting of everybody's time and life, and then to introduce harmful effects on top of it, like that's some kind of game. I mean, it's against every biomedical ethics, like bone and fiber in my body, what's going on right now, with no real evidence or anything to back up who's in the laboratories, whose like sequence are they going on. I mean, like I could ask the most poignant questions to shatter glass ceilings, but then I'm afraid to even go that in depth of questioning because I don't want participation where it's going to cause even more collateral damage in this born whatever this is. And then, like, I'm in North America for 4 quarters of a globe, but this is speaking within a whatever while I'm in North America. And listen how this conversation goes.
Is stalled in Congress right now that President Biden wants. Can you explain what's going on to our viewers and what's the future hold?
Yeah. Well, yesterday we had
Right. What does the future hold? That's the more poignant question.
a good conversation with our mayor, Mayor Adams, and the New York delegation. And we're impressing that this be included in the next round of funding. Mm-hmm. And what really did not get the funding is the kind of services that you see in the corners of New York City, the testing sites that are privately run, not by the city, but privately run by some companies. They will not get reimbursed if the funding is not there. The vaccination sites that are run also will not get, if they don't get the funding, they will cease to provide vaccination. And the way out of this pandemic continues to be vaccination. I got my.
Now it's really curious because at mobile, being the modus operandi of whatever gives me bile in my stomach, it's like, and then if you split that up, it's MOB. and it's just like funding and movement of money and who's involved. It's just like, it's so predominant and everywhere. I just,
second booster shot just yesterday, Bill,
Nicole,
and I
can you come in the bathroom?
encourage everyone to go vaccinate themselves. If you get it, you will not be harmed, dramatically harmed by the virus. If you're vaccinated, if you're not vaccinated,
you will not be dramatically harmed. Now, is that a threat? Because again, as a couch potato with no brother in the field, no National Guard representative holding my most important everything. I mean, like, I don't even have a phone number to call. I had a few phone numbers that I text. I have no idea if they receive anything. It goes into a machine. It goes into the big old space of there's no interaction between me and when I press send. So I don't know. Because Bill Ritter does ask him now, is this something that you consider nice? A nice message?
not vaccinated, or you have some underlying conditions, you might find yourself in a hospital again. Although this variant seems to be very
Now, if this was a mobster movie, I'm just like throwing it out there. Like, if he was in, let's see, the most gory one they have, I've heard, I've never watched, because again, it's not my motif, but is this Godfather, which everybody's always like shocked I've never seen it. Yeah, again, not my lifestyle. So the Godfather movies, or then there's some Al Pacino movie. Carlitos Way is another one. Because this message, I mean, again, he's coming at you with needles. And it doesn't have heroin in it or some other substance of tranquil whatever. But it's still some unknown chemical cocktail that they're saying is okay. But I don't know this guy from Adam, and I have no big brother to hold my hand and vet and verify. And by the looks of what's going on in other televised, it's concerning.
very similar to the past one.
Yep.
That is more contagious but less deadly. So that's good news. Yeah.
And you can tell friends, go vaccinate yourself. And it's a nice thing to say to someone, right? Not a nasty thing to say to someone. Let me ask you about the controversy involving Judge
Yeah, really, honestly, he didn't answer the question.
Justice Clarence Thomas and his wife, and what's happening in the investigation into the January 6th insurrection from last year.
Certainly, her comments are troubling and put into question his impartiality regarding this particular issue, the January 6th attack on Congress and democracy. And so, I would recommend that.
At some point, just so we're clear in Carlitos' way and The Godfather, impartiality has to be thrown out. And at other times, it is okay to have a racial bias, like when your genetics are in question or in harm's way to protect one's own self-preservation. You have to be able to have racial bias, because I don't need my genetics to be mutated with some alien foreign bodies resequenced into my sequence to make me more like them. That is, biomedical ethically, those are the mutations that cause cancers and other unbeknownst situations that arise. What I don't understand is why it's so prevalent and such a movement that has so much force and backing behind it to purposely put someone in the field in these compromised situations. Because that's what it feels like to me. It feels like there's not even like an opt-out. How do you opt out and say, I don't want to combine genetics with this stranger? How do you do that in the field? That's personal freedoms.
He recuses himself for anything that has to do with the January 6th attack on Congress. Other folks are calling for him to step down. I think we have to get more information and more facts about this whole incident of the comments made by the spouse and how they may impact his decision-making process. But certainly, as it pertains to anything having to do with the January 6th insurrection, he should recuse himself.
And we thank Congressman Espaillat. When we come back, the week that was, the week that will be.
So he goes by some title, which I have no idea what that means, how he gets it, how one obtains it, how one performs in that ability of congressman. Again, I'm in a U.S. system. I'm in North America. How could you hold somebody captive in a building with the flag, the symbol of the unity, for 13 years with all of that opportunity? If you're really up to good things in the world, or in this part of the world, how could you hold somebody captive for 13 years and not teach them one vocabulary word or one way that it interacts, and how that person you're holding captive should integrate into the system that everybody's claims to be trying to uphold and work within? Something's not right. Something's not working, and it's at a big scary it's not. Something's missing. I just don't know what. But I know my health is like devaporating into thin air, gaining weight, can't move. My bones inside my joints are now cracking as I stand and I move. My body is not a free flow moving object within time and space and some inertia movement. It's now very rigid, and it's almost like in deconstruction or demolition is what it feels like, in some breakdown, and I don't know how to recoup and persevere in getting a hold of this, because it's just the signs are just at the moment not there. On coronavirus with the BA.1, BA.2, those are biometric pressure changes on one level. And then yesterday I find out that it ties into Jack and the Giant. Jack and the Giant. That is red flares for a whole nother reason. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. And I only had a picture of this Jack and the Giant and a few verses, but on one page. It got cut off, and then I don't know what happened thereafter. It came on an algorithmed attachment to, as I was uploading something else, the picture caught my Coptic reference, because I had just done something on the BA.1, BA.2 variant for something else that I put up on Facebook.